Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 50th anniversary of sous vide. And today we have three guests from the hotel industry who are going to be able to share some of their history about sous vide, the evolution. We're going to have a great conversation. I'm Gerard Bertholon. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer and the Corporate Chef for Cuisine Solution, and I will be the host today. So thank you, gentlemen, for being with us today and participating of this worldwide sous vide celebration. And if you could talk about who you are and what you do, and that would be great. And Brad, you want to start?
Sure. Well, good morning, good day, and it's an honor to be here with all of you. My name is Brad Nelson. I'm the Vice President of Culinary for Marriott International globally, and spend all of my time really kind of thinking and talking about food. And this is a great topic, so thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Really happy you're part of us. You've been a believer in sous vide for so many years, and we'll hear about it a bit later on. Marc, you want to go next?
Yes, thank you, Gerard. Thank you for having me. Certainly an honor as well. So my name is Marc Ehrler. I'm the Vice President Culinary for Hilton for the Americas. And I wish everyone a safe and happy 2021.
Good. Olivier?
All right. Well, good morning. Gerard, thank you for having me. Honored to be part of this group. My name is Olivier Gaupin. I'm the Director of Culinary Operation for Benchmark Global Hospitality, and excited to be on this journey.
Great. So I know all of you have been a long believer on sous vide, and if you could talk to us about when was the first time and what was your experience about sous vide when you started. We'll change a little bit. Olivier, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. So, you know, for a long time, like many other chefs out there, I've tried to do my own sous vide without really knowing. In many cases, was doing a lot of experiment myself. I was really introduced to sous vide until really I met you, Joe, until I got to know Cuisine Solution a few years back. And it was really about understanding what the product is all about and the benefits that it brings to any operation. It's really not. I think there is still some sort of perception out there or there is chefs that have the perception out there about sous vide that it's not always as good as, braising your own short ribs or doing certain things in a certain way for many hours in the kitchen. But I think what's important is the understanding of what really sous vide is about that will change people's mind. And for me, that's what it was. It was really understanding. It's not about buying the food that's already made. For me, I think, Gerard, you told me once, right? It's about adding the cook that you don't have in the kitchen and having a product that just makes a difference in terms of quality, in terms of texture, in terms of flavors, in terms of really efficiencies in so many levels. So for me, sous vide was introduced a few years back. It is something that I'm trying to implement in much challenged operation today, much more challenged than ever, I would say. And so as we are ramping up business and as we are essentially changing the way we are operating, the goal is to really introduce sous vide and introduce the element of and the added value of the product to those operations.
Okay. Marc, I know you started to cook sous vide in France, and can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, actually, my first experience with sous vide was actually in 1982. I was at the Hôtel de France in Auch with André Daguin, and Arnaud, his son, had a sous vide company. So we ended up, I'm going to say, playing with sous vide. And we found things that we had never thought were possible by accelerating flavors, cooking processes, changing textures, being super consistent, absolutely perfect cooking every single time. And I remember at some point we had actually a wedding of, at the time it was a large wedding, 80 people. And we had pigeon squab, and every single squab was perfectly cooked. So we played with it, and I'm saying play with it because it was truly a discovery period for us. And I think because of what we achieved, because of the flavors that we were able to enhance, which, we had to adjust recipes as a seasoning was just being amplified at a level that sometimes would actually not make the recipe work anymore. So we had some serious adjustment to be done. But I think and I have to say that since that day, since 1982, we never stopped. We kept on evolving. We kept sous vide became part of the library of knowledge that a cook, that a chef should have. There's no difference between braising, grilling, or anything like this, or any of the techniques that we have. And sous vide at that point became an additional technique. So we kept on playing, discovering, until we met Dr. Goussot. And there we understood that science was really the element that made it successful. And I have to say that the last 5 years, really, I've seen things coming out of Cuisine Solutions, driven obviously by yourself, by Dr. Goussot, making us understand things. So the thermometer became our friend, and we became so precise in cooking that we became, I think, better cooks, better chefs.
Yeah. Brad?
Yeah, so I completely agree with all of that. Our first venture into sous vide, really, for Marriott goes really all the way back to the early '90s, and became something that was an ingredient based, was a product line, was an approach, and became an approach that was really based on food quality, consistency, and ease of execution. I think many people think, oh, sous vide, well, that's a way to actually reduce labor. Well, yes, in some ways, but what it really does is increase consistency and increase dependability of the item by its precision. And I think Marc used the right word there about precision and science, because it really is precision and science. But it's an alternative cooking method to, in many ways, replicate or create new recipes and new textures and flavors and intensity that one can't do with some of the traditional classical cooking techniques. So to me, it's always been a science-based, very precision-based, but alternative or additional cooking method that we have in our arsenal as a way to to bring things forward. And what's interesting is that in many ways, sous vide was initially thought to be at the very upper echelon of Michelin star and whatnot, but it really crosses through every single segment that we have in our group. With over 30 hotels, and we have sous vide product from the select service models with very limited culinary or no culinary staff on hand to the highest level of service and type of property. So I see it as something that crosses through a number of different segments and truly is a refinement of cooking processes that are based on classical technique.
And Brad, what kind of evolution you've seen? I know I remember myself being with Bill Marriott when we started, when you guys started, and his vision was between Hilton, Marriott, everybody's opening so many hotels, we will not have enough staff. It was not even a question of reduction in staff. And before COVID, we clearly saw it, where everybody was struggling to find qualified staff. So really, Bill Marriott was really a visionary. But how did you see the quality, the evolution of sous vide in your operation?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think Bill Marriott was kind of a visionary and was one of the initial push
Early adapter.
Early adopter, yes. And I think what it's done is again allows for time to be spent more appropriately where it should be spent. And so what I mean by that is, yeah, yes, labor and talent and staffing and whatnot is a challenge for all of us in the industry globally. And what's really most important is a couple of things. One is kind of the first input, the product selection, the decision of what the items are to be, and then kind of the finishing of how it's to be presented in those final moments before it goes to the guest. So what sous vide has done is it's not actually, I don't really consider it to be such a labor saving as I consider it to be a place where we can apply labor more appropriately to what's most important, which is closest to the guest. So it cuts out some of the mid preparation steps by its application of science and time and temperature that takes away some of the challenges one might have of using conventional dry or moist cooking. So you know, I think we see it really as an evolution, and it really is a place where we can shift labor to being closest to the customer and a more labor focused on those fine finishing points of presentation and seasoning and preparation, that kind of thing.
I see a lot of evolution, and not for us on our side in cooking, but really on reheating the product. You know, originally we had to reheat in the pouch and then do a quick searing and something. And I see today that many of our customers are taking the product out and really put in the grill, put in the broiler, yes, and in a smoker, and really the chef are putting their creativity to finish the product. And Marc, you've been a big component of telling some of your chefs that I don't want you to open the bag and put it in the plate, and I want to put your, I heard you talking about, I want you to put your soul, I want you to put all your, where you come from, and really make it your own side. If you can talk more about that.
I think so. We've seen an evolution, and we might speak about this later. But prior to COVID, and after COVID, right? So what I think that so you have the kitchen manager. The kitchen manager takes a recipe, takes product, puts it together, serves it, and then you have the cook. You have the chef. That's driven by a very different passion, I think, right? And those cooks, those chefs, really want to put their heart and souls and their passion into the product. So taking a product, opening a pouch, and serving it doesn't make any sense. And I think, to me, to some extent, for the cook, for the chef, it's almost a crime, right? So our purpose, my purpose, is to educate our teams, our chefs, our cook, and really to protect and develop and help the next generation by taking a product that has been cooked sous vide, opening a pouch, and then seasoning it and handling it, rethermalizing it the way their heart really tells them. And it's all about the stories that made us who we became today as a professional. So now, when you take a product and you season it with a spice or a rub or whatever it is, or just salt and pepper, and then rethermalize it into either a broiler or a grill or smoke it, but that to me is not an option. I don't know, using olive oil or anything, or marinade, or even barbecue sauce, whatever it is that drives you at that moment, inspired by the product, driven by quality and obviously your stories. That's what we ask. So now you're getting to a product in a plate in front of a guest, because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what drives us. That's our purpose. At the end of the day, the moment of truth is the plate that we put in front of the guests, and being able to say, I made this for you, right? And looking at the guest in the eyes. So now you have a product that really has you in it. And you have two, I guess, if you go back to the beginning of it, you have two ways of getting there. It's either you make your own sous vide product, which then requires knowledge, training, asset plan, etc., and a lot of resources. And then you have, when Cuisine Solution, I think, and that's why I guess you are called Cuisine Solutions. And I remember having that discussion, with you and your team and with Stanislas. It's about finding solutions for the challenges that we have today in the kitchen. And Brad said it, the labor issues that we have. So the skills that we have. So Cuisine Solutions allows us to find a product. So Cuisine Solution, and you said it all the time, Gerard, you became our prep cook. You became our
just
production.
a line cook, that's it. Yeah.
That's it. You're our commissary. And then you allow us to use a product of a very high quality. And I think what's crucial is the education that comes with it. So hopefully
and we have evolved compared when we started so many decades ago, where we are more on a meal business. We will do a veal blanket, we will do a finished product. And we really moved away from that. We still do that for retail, of course, but for the hotel, that's what we're talking about. We're really trying to keep the product as simple as possible. So like that, we leave 100% of the creativity to your team. And if you want to do with the same item, many times you have 2 or 3 different restaurants in the same hotel using the same product. Either if you cook it yourself or if you buy it from us. But really the goal is to have an ingredient and not a meal. And I think that's, for me, the evolution is to keep somebody, chicken who tastes like chicken, doesn't taste like orange or more like a stew, and use it in banquet, use it in different operation, and really have the creativity of your chef finishing, depending if they are in Dubai or if your hotel are in Canada or some different places. So that was a big evolution for me compared to when we started.
Yeah. I mean, you said it, right? I mean, and all the recipes that we have developed together, and also the recipes that we have maybe modified, what we wanted to do, what was important for me, was to keep them under seasoned, so our teams could season them how they wished. So, but anyway, thank you.
Olivier, I know you're been playing lately with a lot of sous vide and different technique, and you have many different operations.
Yeah.
So the evolution has been shorter for you, but how did you see it since you start playing with sous vide?
I think the understanding of the foundation of the product is really the evolution of how we move forward in terms of what our business is about. I think, and I know we're going to touch base on COVID in a little bit, so I don't want to deviate from that, but the evolution is really to understanding the product, the identity of the product, and how far you can take that product. And to me, that is what, it's what has made a major impact in different operations. Again, not to repeat some of the things that have been said, but you can take a under-seasoned chicken that's been sous vide and take it in so many different ways, however you want to do it. Whether you want to do it in a very fast casual way for a fast casual concept restaurant, or you have a more of a dinner dining experience, and you can use a different application. The foundation of the product and the identity of the product and the refinement that went into that sous vide process is really what has evolved a lot. So I think that's where operations are getting the benefits in the evolution of that process. So if people can understand, how the process and receive the education of that evolution and how we've got to that product, I think we can make some major strikes in terms of how do we operate, which is, I think that's going to be a major component moving forward. And once we're out of this challenging time, So I think for me, that's what's been the one of the biggest evolution, is to understand what the product is, really understand the identity of the product and what you can do with it and how far you can take it.
And to the next question to all of you, what do you hear from your staff when you start implementing some of those programs? Like I said, either with our product or cooking yourself. How do they react? What kind of comment they tell you?
So I think, you know, I know that you and I, we've done a few testing in a couple of hotels. And I think I've had a mixed reviews, people that don't really understand sous vide. So the impact is not the same for them. But people that have been anxious to know more about, and that's where they get the interest going. For me, the strikes was when we actually cooked and tested product that were sous vide and product that were identical product that were not sous vide. And when people started testing the product and understand the level of moisture, texture, just every element that takes place going through a sous vide method, I think people are finally recognizing that they either want to know more about it and receive the education that comes with it, or and then you've got the people that still don't understand. You have people that are going to translate that as, I'm not buying chicken out of a plastic bag. And this is purely the lack of understanding the process and having the education that comes with it.
Marc, do you have any other comment you heard from your team, since you've been to all of your hotels and different region, different age also?
Yeah, so it's been, you know, a very sad, 2020 was a very sad year, right? Where we saw restaurants, hotels close, you know, hotel reopen, you know, we suspended operation, reduced very limited resources from labor to equipment to product. And because of the lack of volume, since so many restaurants were closed, product was barely available. So now, even from our suppliers or even some of the farmers, we couldn't get, you know, the product or the quantity. And business being so, you know, different from a day to another, we might have a group of 50 or 250 people, and then pretty much, you know, an occupancy of 4 or 5%, you know, the day after. So we had to find solutions, and I think what's always amazing is that, you know, all darkness, you know, there's always some light, right, coming out of it. And so what we decided to do was to launch a product every single week, you know, with your team, to offer a new solution with recipes and very short video for our teams. So now either that we had a chef, or maybe we had a kitchen running with only a sous chef, or maybe sometimes a cook or a kitchen manager, then we would actually help them, educate them on using a product. And so we did this for 3 weeks. On the 4th week, we did a live event from your test kitchen, where we took all those products and showed them how they were applicable for grab and go, takeout, bar, restaurant, or even you know, banquet or catering, you know, according to the state, the country, the region in which those hotels were, and we did this for you know, pretty much 90 days straight. The feedback that we got from our team, to answer your question, it's that it was really a lifesaver. It was a lifesaver because suddenly sous vide became the solution to the challenges that we had. And so the perception and the knowledge about sous vide prior to COVID was, you know, not as crucial or as needed as, you know, because we had other options. During COVID, we were so limited in our possibilities that suddenly being able to reach a product of high quality where we could use only 1 chicken breast or 1 short rib or whatever, a 1 pound pouch of polenta, when you had nobody in a kitchen, or you know, one or two team members in a kitchen, we were able to put out menus with absolutely zero waste, meaning that if you had 10 people, you could serve 10 meals and you didn't have 11 portions, meaning one portion left over. So the feedback was absolutely, you know, really amazing. And it makes you feel good because we were able to help our team to do their jobs regardless of the situation. And in the same time, being able to educate them and get even better product, consistent product, high quality product when, you know, the operations were so challenged.
And Brad, what was your experience with your team? Because you've been with Marriott for so many years, you see the evolution, and I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I think the teams are very supportive of sous vide and understand it certainly better now and over the last number of years as we've really been, you know, using this as an ingredient and as a technique. So I don't know that we have a lot. You know, there's still folks that say, "Oh, I'm not going to take it out of a bag," and then when you actually again do the tasting or whatnot, it suddenly becomes clear as to why this is a better method in some ways. So I think our uptake on people supporting sous vide has not been a real long or difficult transition. I think because we've been using it for so long. I think one of the things that we also are looking at, you know, 2020, obviously, I agree with Marc, was a year we'd like to forget, right? But out of that as well, you know, there might be some silver linings of things that we can use for the future. And I think ways in which we creatively plan menus and creatively plan menus using more innovative or technology-based products like this is the future, and allows us to instill more creativity and personal touch, and yet not have to again kind of do as much in the middle. And I think that is the educational piece that the chefs and managers and designers have understood, that this really is a way in which we can focus on the customer in the end and focus on the chef with that final touch or sear or season. And it's also a way that we can really instill great consistency in those markets and in those properties that maybe don't have a strong depth of culinary staff or talent, and ensure consistency in something different. So, you know, I love Marc's idea of doing a menu item a week. You know, see, Marc's always ahead of me, so I wish I'd done that.
Marc, we're going to finish with you.
Yep. Thank you, Gerard. And so, I mean, you know, the thing is we have to remember today is International Sous Vide Day. There would be no International Sous Vide Day without, you know, Dr. Bruno Rousseau.
So I want to thank you again for being part of this 50-year celebration and this great celebration about this technique sous vide, who's been bringing all the chefs around the world new tools to deliver better experience to their customers. So cheers, and hope to see you soon face to face. Thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers. Happy birthday.
Thank
you.
Anniversary.
Happy New
Bye-bye.
Year.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.